Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another Shop My Stash video, and if you are not new to this series, then you may notice that my makeup organization and setup has changed pretty significantly. I definitely like to switch things up a lot. I get very bored often, and one way that I help to just spice up my life is to basically redo my furniture, the way that I have rooms laid out, etc. So this was the last impacted area, and I'm really happy with the way that I've reorganized, just because now over here you'll see I have this organizer where I keep all of my lip products, so I don't have to go into my closet to get any of my lip products, and it definitely just gives me a lot more space to put things right in front of me every single day, rather than like having to go to a million places and grab stuff. So if you are interested in seeing the items that I used for the last rotation and interested in seeing which items I am going to be working on for the next couple of weeks, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would love if you would consider subscribing before you move on. We are posting videos every single day all throughout the month of December. We love project painting, Shop My Stash videos, as well as just makeup content in general. So if that's something that interests you and you are not yet subscribed, I would love if you would join. And other than that, let's just get into this video. All right guys, we're going to start in my acrylic organizer like we always do. I now have my acrylic organizers just stacked on top of one another. And in my top drawer, I have my primers and foundation. I did put all of my Project Pan foundations on a separate shelf, so everything in here is just stuff that is going in my Shop My Stash and not necessarily things that I'm working on throughout projects. It was just easier for me to separate it that way. So let's go through primer first. First, I have this one from Tarte. This is the Timeless Smoothing Primer. This was new to me, so I was testing this out, and I did get the opportunity to test this pretty well. I have been enjoying this. I think it does a really nice job of smoothing, and I've had no issues with pilling, but I am going to put this away just to try and cycle through some other primers that haven't been getting love in my collection. I have this little one from Dior, this little mini sample that I'm just going to keep in rotation and try and finish this up. And then I mentioned in the last couple of rotations, I'm basically unofficially trying to pan this Catrice Fresh It Up Moisturizing Primer. I'm really hopeful that I could potentially finish this before the end of the year, although I'm getting a little bit nervous as we grow closer and closer to December 31st, but I am going to keep this in rotation. I also had the Touch in Sol No Problem Primer as just a second option for a pore filling primer, which I am going to keep in because this is one of the older primers in my collection, and I'm also considering putting this into my rolling 10 pan at the beginning of the year, so just to kind of get a head start on this. I will put back my First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Hyaluronic Hydrating Primer. That is a mouthful. I used this a couple of times. I really enjoy this primer, but I would also like to buckle down on these primers that I currently have going and potentially just reach for one other primer. So I'm going to put this back. I was also testing out the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation, which I surprisingly really have liked. I wasn't thinking I was going to like this foundation because it is more mattifying and full coverage, which are not typically things that I like in my foundation. I did use this quite a few times, so I am ready to put this back for a little bit. Then I just have this little sample of the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation, which I'm just going to keep in so I can try and finish this up. And then I also had the Too Faced Born This Way foundation because I am considering putting this in my Project 10 pan at the beginning of the year as well. But I did use this a couple of times, and I am ready to put this back, at least until I potentially start that project. Okay, then we have my very full concealer, powder, and bronzer drawer. So let's start with the three concealers I had. I have my Kosas concealer in here. I love this concealer. It's one of my absolute favorites, and I believe I've had it in for 2 rotations now, but I still want to leave it in for one more just because I love this one so much. And then I also had my Hourglass and Ilia concealer going. I was mixing these two together to get more of like a medium coverage. The Hourglass is pretty full coverage and the Ilia is pretty sheer coverage. So I was mixing these to kind of get my perfect coverage. But I used these both a ton, and I'm ready to grab for another concealer to pair with that Kosas one or just to wear separately. This one I'm just going to permanently keep in here for a while. This is my Tarte CC Under Eye Corrector. corrector. Okay, so then I have 4 powders going, which is very, very excessive. I had tossed the Charlotte Tilbury one in because I had just picked this up in the VIB sale. And then I also have my Bite Beauty pressed powder, which I have major pan on. Which one? I think I might keep my Bite in and just continue to work on this to try and finish this up. I don't think I'll finish this by the end of the year, but maybe this is something I could put into my project at the beginning of the year as well, because this might be an easier one to finish. And then when I finish this, I'll go back to my Charlotte Tilbury. I really love both of these. I highly recommend both of them. And then I also had my Glossier Wowder, which I love for a more light coverage powder. And then my Beauty Bakery Better Not Bitter flower powder, which I also really enjoy, especially if I'm looking for something that's really going to lock in my makeup. If I'm going to work for a full day and I know I'm going to have my mask on all day, this is something that I reach for because it really helps keep my makeup in place. But I have been using both of these a ton the last couple of rotations, so I'm going to swap these out and put them away for right now. I have so much bronzer going in here. Okay, so my Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder is going in a project, so that will stay. My Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood contour wand, I think, has been going for 2 rotations now, and I've been getting so much use out of this. So even though I don't want to put this back because I love it so much, I am going to put this down. I've also been using the heck out of my Charlotte Tilbury Bronze and Glow palette. I really, really love this, and I have a feeling maybe I'll try and pan both of these shades, and then I will pick up the full size of this because I love this so, so much. Then I was also working on my Ilia as well as my e.l.f. bronzers. So here is my Ilia bronzer. I really like this one. It's a really nice lighter toned bronzer, and it works really well for me in the wintertime when I'm not self-tan. And then this is a really beautiful warm bronzer. I also really enjoy this one from e.l.f. But I'm going to swap both of these out. I'm ready to put these away. I also have my Huda Beauty Tan Tour in here. I've been using this, or I've had this going the last couple of rotations. This is definitely a more full coverage cream bronzer. I really, really, really enjoy this, but I am ready to swap this out for a different cream bronzer. And then back here, I also have a Sicily blurring powder, which I'm just going to permanently keep in. Okay, moving into this crazy drawer. So this has all of my Natasha Denona mini palettes. It has the 2 ABH palettes that I'm currently focused on. It has a couple of ColourPop Super Shocks that I'm trying to pan. It has my Kaja Trios in here at all time. It has some of the Essence Melted Chromes because I've really been enjoying these. It has some liquid shadows, a pigment, and I'm just going to keep this as is. It has one of the NYX foil plate cream shadows, which I also really love. This is something that, because these are all products that, like, I don't necessarily reach for if I'm running out the door, I kind of just, like, will interchange. I'll kind of just swap these out and change them on my own as I get use out of them. I am trying to finish up, like, see if I could finish up this Wander Beauty liquid shadow because I'm really, really close. And then some of these other ones, I just always like to have Stila Perlina in here just because this can really add something to any look. So we're just going to leave this. We're just going to leave this one as is. So then moving on to my blush drawer, there's a lot going on in here. Let's start with all of the things that are currently going in projects. So I have my Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand, my Hourglass palette, my Ilia Cream Blush, my Hourglass Blush, and my Love Glow Cheek Palette. I believe that's everything going in a project. So let's start with what these two have been going the last couple of rotations. So I have my Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic blush in Pillow Talk Intense. This is really, really beautiful, especially for this time of year. But I have gotten some good use out of it, especially because it's been in the last few rotations. So I am ready to put this back. I would be interested in picking up another Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic blush in a lighter shade. That's more wearable on every day for me at least. And then I also have the Cover FX Duo in Warm Honey. This is just one of my favorite blushes for this time of year as well, but I have gotten a ton of use out of that. My Jouer Blush Duo I pulled in last rotation. I did use this a couple of times, but I think I will keep this in for one more round. My RMS blush has been going for a couple of rotations now, so I'm going to put this back. My Florence blush has been going for 1 or 2 rotations. I can't quite remember. And I only remember reaching for this one time. So I'm going to keep this in rotation. I've been really enjoying both of these Fenty cream blushes, and I actually really like mixing the two of these. So I have the shade Fenty Glow, which I like to put on top of Rose Latte just to make it a little bit more glowy. These are so beautiful. I've used them both quite a bit. I should put them back because I'm gonna put, oh man. I'll put both of them back for right now because I should focus on my Project Pan items. I also reached for Milani Wine Glow. This is like a gel formula liquid blush. Not my favorite formula. It's fine. I did reach for this a couple of times, but I'm just ready to put it back. And then I also have my Daniel Sandler Watercolor Cheek Color. This has been going for 2 rotations now. I do really like this. I have it in the shade Nectar, which is very nude. So I'm going to put this back, but I think I'm actually going to keep my Fenty Glow cream blush just for a nude blush, a nude cream blush. And then my Clinique Cheek Pop in Pink Honey Pop is so beautiful, such a beautiful neutral blush, but I think I'm going to put this back and reach for a different, more nude blush since I did get to use this a few times. Okay, moving on to my highlighter drawer. Let's start with these two because these two have been going for the last 2 rotations. So I have my Dior Face Palette. This is in Rose Gold. And this is what this palette looks like. It is really beautiful. There's a couple of shades that do have a little bit of glitter in them, but nothing too intense. I have reached for this enough that I'm ready to put it back for a little while. And then I also have my Melt Blush Duo, which I'm still kind of learning the best way that I like to use this. And because I feel like this is something that's just better suited to me in the winter time, I am going to keep this in rotation, even though I have been reaching for this quite often. The 2 highlighters, the 2 liquid highlights I had selected were the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk highlighter as well as the Glossier Night Shine highlighter. I used Night Shine more than I used Pillow Talk, so I'm going to put Night Shine away and keep Pillow Talk in. I also love pink highlighters, especially this time of year. So I had Laura Geller Charming Pink, which I did reach for. I also had my Bobbi Brown Pink Glow. This is one of my favorite highlighters in my collection. I reached for this so much this year that even though I didn't reach for it a ton the last rotation, I should put this away and grab for something else. I've also been testing out this Fenty Glow mini highlighter. This is not my favorite just because it does have a lot of glitter in it, and it definitely has more of like a putty-like texture. So I've actually just been using it as a body highlight if I'm wearing like a sleeveless shirt while I'm filming. I am going to just put this back just because I'm not going to be using it on my face, and then if I do decide I want to body highlight for some reason that day, I will just reach into my drawers. I picked this up from Nabla. This is one of their skin glazings, and I picked it up in the shade Privilege. I've really been enjoying this for a more subtle highlight, but I have gotten a ton of use out of this. I'm going to keep this in for 1 more rotation just because it is newer and I want to keep using it. Mary Lou and Becca Rose Quartz are going in a project. ABH Amrezy, I haven't reached for a ton this year. I think this has only been in like 3 rotations, but this is just such a staple and such a favorite. I used it a couple of times, but I think because it has gotten a little bit neglected this year, I will keep it in for 1 more rotation. And then I also had pulled out this Lancome highlighting palette that I picked up last year. As you can see, rose gold has a huge pan on it. I did use this a couple of times, and this got a lot of love for me at the beginning of this year, so I'm going to reach for something else. I'm going to put this back. And then I'd also grabbed my Laura Geller highlighting palette. I think I only reached for this 1 time, so I'm going to keep this in rotation. And then in the last drawer, I just have 2 face palettes here. So I have ABH Moonchild, which is currently going in a project, and then I have Becca the Après-Ski Glow or Face whatever holiday palette from a couple of years ago. Sorry, not trying to blind you. I maybe reached for this 1 time, but I can't even remember if I did that, so I will keep this in rotation. So then I also like to always share the drawers at my vanity before we go on to shop my stash. So in this drawer, In this box right here, usually I have stuff that I am just like trying for the first or second or third time that hasn't quite made it to my acrylic drawers, but I have began testing it. So it's come out of my new drawer into my testing drawer kind of. And then over here I have a bunch of lip products, a ton. I'm trying to decide what I want to declutter out of my lip collection before the end of the year. So there's a bunch that I'm trying to like work my way through and decide if I still want or need them. So closing that drawer. In this drawer we have tools that I use every single day. So brow pomades, eyeshadow primer, mascara, brow gel, my Fenty Beauty Amber contour stick that I use for nose contour every single day. Then over here, so my knob sticks out a little bit, so this can't sit like right against the drawer. So there's a little bit of space here that I just put 2 Hourglass products. I have my Hourglass powder and my Hourglass bronzer. I really haven't reached for my bronzer much, but I am trying to get use out of my powder. This is something I would love to see if I could pan next year. It just goes so slowly in my opinion because I don't use a lot of it when I reach for this. And then I have my Patrick Ta blush duos, my Kosas blush duos, my Rowan quads, Pat McGrath quads, Charlotte Tilbury quads, Makeup by Mario quads, and Patrick Ta eyebrow, like his eyebrow wax. So I just always keep this here because I've been loving these products. And then just to show you guys, for anyone wondering, these drawers are all of my lip products. So up top I have lip glosses. In here I have more lip glosses. Oh, this is my favorite drawer. And then I have liquid lipsticks. And then I also have mini palettes. So here is like my Huda mini palette drawer. Here are my Kaleidos minis, some more minis, etc. More mini palettes. Okay, now it is officially time to shop my stash. Starting in the top drawer, as we always do, we have foundations, primers, etc. So I think I want to grab 1 face primer and maybe 2 foundations. I really have no idea what I want to do for face primer. What should I grab? Maybe I'll grab my Rare Beauty one. This one is really hydrating and really glowy, so I'll grab this. And then I think I'm going to grab my ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation. I really, really love this one. And then I also will grab my Kogendo one. This is newer to my collection. I do really like this one. It's just not that long lasting, but I think I might try to pair this one with some of my fuller coverage Project Pan foundations just to sheer them out a little bit. So we're going to go with these from this drawer. Also, if you guys have not smelled the Fresh Winter Air Candle from Bath & Body Works, highly recommend. Okay, this drawer has powder, concealer, mascara, and brow products. I don't need any new mascara or brow products. For concealer, I have been missing my Oma Beauty concealer. I absolutely love this one. And then I think I'll also just grab my Rare Beauty one. I feel like it's been a little bit since I've used this. So I'll grab these 2 concealers, and then I'm going to grab, in the Laura Mercier packaging, I have the RMS powder just to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to grab this as my only loose powder and just see how much of this powder I can get through in the next couple of weeks. Moving on to my bronzer drawer, I feel like I don't have that many bronzers anymore. So for my bronzer, I'm going to grab the Tarte Seychelles cream bronzer for my cream bronzer, that is. And then for my powder bronzer, I think I'm going to grab, I feel like I have no bronzers. Yikes. I think I'm going to grab my, this one's more warm than I like this time of year. I might just have to reach back into my NARS Laguna bronzer. This is the sun washed one, so it definitely takes a little bit more building, which is probably better for me this time of year. And I think I might just focus on this bronzer for right now. So I'm just going to pull those 2 from this drawer. Okay, then moving on to my monstrosity of a blush drawer. I did recently have someone say to try and layer that melt, like, blushy highlight duo with a more neutral blush. So I am going to grab Buxom Seychelles and I am going to try and layer those 2 and see what I get. I love this blush. And then I think I also shoot, this should go right here. Oh, I'm gonna grab Ciate Date Night. My sister got this for me for Christmas last year. I think this is a beautiful blush for this time of year. I like that this one has more of like a satin sheen to it rather than being totally matte. So I'm gonna grab this, and then I actually also think I will grab MAC Warm Soul just because it's been a little while since I've used this. This is also a really neutral blush that I could try and pair with that Melt duo, and then I also have enough blushes still pulled that I should be good for blush, except for I really have been craving its Chick Lit. I recently had this in a rotation, but I really would love to just reach into this again, so I'll pull this as well. Okay, moving on to my highlight drawer. It's always a great time of year for me to reach into the Makeup Forever highlighter in the shade 1. It's a really, really beautiful pink toned highlight. One of my favorites. I also don't know if I've reached for Becca Prismatic Amethyst at all this year. So I'll pull this. And then I would like, I think I'm going to pull, I recently had that in. I'll actually just pull my Dior shade number 1, which is more of a champagne highlight for the days that I don't want a pink highlight. Okay, into my face palette drawer. I believe I told you guys last time that I really wanted to reach into my Nicole Guerrero ABH Glow Kit. Sorry, my lights are super bright. So I am going to grab this, but I think that's the only face palette I will grab. In here we have my Super Shock shadows, single shadows, pigments, etc. I'm not going to specifically grab anything out of this drawer, but like I said, if I feel like something will go with a look that I'm creating that day, then I will just pop it in. And then finally, we have my new product drawer that I just have a few products left in it, but I don't want to leave anything in my new product drawer come the end of the year, so I'm just going to toss all 3 of these in to test them out. I have the Tarte Found Sealer, I have the Kylie Jenner Concealer, and then I have the Tatcha Liquid Canvas Primer. So I'll just toss all 3 of these in rotation. My bottom drawer has nothing in it. I'll show you guys. So there's nothing in my bottom drawer, so that should be it for shopping my stash. All right, you guys, so I obviously have some cleaning up to do of my desk space now, but that is gonna be it for today's Shop My Stash video. I am just gonna continue to focus on eyeshadow palettes that are going in my Pan Those eyeshadows or other various projects. If you guys would like to see me do something different for shopping my stash for palettes, let me know. I just, with palettes, I really just like to pull for what I'm thinking for that day, and I don't like to be tied down to any specific palettes aside from what's in my projects. But please do let me know if there's anything you'd like to see me do differently there. Other than that, thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's Shop My Stash video. I hope you are enjoying Vlogmas. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video.